Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's the second session of the day, and this is a big one because we are going to be sharing what's coming soon for you in emPerform. Our next release is slated for February 15th. It's packed with over 45 features and enhancements, and we're really excited to reveal them to you. You're going to love them. Okay, so for today's session, it's my pleasure to welcome John Smith. I'm sure many of you know John. He's our Director of Global Business Applications and really the mastermind behind emPerform. John joins us with a very unique background. He has over 20 years of experience in accounting and performance management. So he's a rare finance HR guy, and he, of course, does a lot of consulting on these systems. John, I know that you are really excited about this session, so I'll hand things over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie, and thanks for the introduction, and welcome, everyone. Thanks for spending the next hour or so with us on emPerform 5.4. As Natalie said at the beginning, we're super excited about this release. This is year 20 for me with emPerform, so believe it or not, we started on this journey back in 2003, and this product has evolved a lot over 20 years. It's evolved with the changing face of performance management. It has evolved with all of your feedback. And I think, one of the things we get excited about when we talk about our new releases is that nowadays we listen very closely to all of you and your ideas and what makes this better. We have, I think, over 100,000 emPerform users out there right now as individuals that touch the product during the course of a year. And for that reason, the feedback that come back from them and through you really helps us. So again, thank you for spending the time. We're going to talk today about emPerform 5.4. Bullet number 1 is the biggest enhancement in it. We call it advanced goal management. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you that. And we're going to talk about a whole list of other enhancements in 5.4. We also want to talk about our ideas portal. And we, as always, encourage you to ask questions as we go through. We're going to reserve some time at the end to deal with any questions you may have. So, wow. Natalie mentioned this off the top. This releases February 15th, okay? And there is over 45 new features and enhancements in emPerform 5.4. We are going to talk here about advanced goal management because it's one of the biggest ones. And we're also going to talk about the customer ideas forum. This is something we talked about in our last emPerform live event that we were going to be launching, and it has launched. And it really provides you with an opportunity to give us feedback. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's start with advanced goal management and emPerform. And what is it? Well, we call it a new module. I want us to think about new functionality. In fact, maybe we should change the terminology because it's really new functionality being brought into the appraisal module. Let's call it that, okay? So you don't have to use this. When you do an upgrade, one of the principles we have when we do upgrades is that we don't disrupt anything you've set up or any process that you're in at any time. So as you look at this today, I want you to think about it as an opportunity to enhance your performance review process. It is not something that's going to automatically be activated on upgrade. It's one that's going to take maybe a little bit of thought as you see it. If you're doing goal management today, and you're using our existing kind of goal cascade button and that's working for you, that's great. Think about this as, that functionality on steroids. So what does it include? Well, we're introducing sort of a concept of organizational goals. You can think of those as team goals as well, or it could be right up at the organizational level. We have the ability, as always, to create goals, but from goals that are created, a manager can create sub-goals. And those sub-goals to their team can be different on an employee-by-employee basis, okay? And they don't need to go out to the employee's review to make that specific. They can actually do it as they're setting the goal. We have public and private goals here. Public is very important because it's the mechanism that allows, linking to the goal. So we talk about enhanced cascading, meaning the ability to, from a goal you create to cascade different goals from it. We talk about upward linking, meaning that if you give permission, an employee or a manager or any role in the organization can link goals that they create to an organizational goal that's been set or a team goal. We put a min-max setting in here. We created a visible goal tree so you can see where you are in the process. We do some stuff called in-app status monitoring. We have a new goal setting state for anniversary reviews. And we introduced alerting. So if somebody changes a goal, you get an alert all over it. So I'm going to talk about these in just a little bit more detail. And then what we're going to do is take a look at it. We'll show you a live example. And then we're going to come back and talk about some more of the enhancements that we're doing in emPerform 5.4. So key concepts. First of all, what are the goals that we have now? We're thinking about types of goals. Well, we've got corporate or organizational goals. These are goals that are set at an organization level, right? It could be that, hey, for our strategy for 2023, we want to increase our EBITDA by 10%. We want to improve our products that we sell. We want to improve our employee experience. And these are goals that people can link to, right? So if you think about managers or employees, you could say, well, they could upward link to these organizational goals. Obviously, we have goals. We always had goals, so you can go in and create goals. But now from those goals, you can create sub-goals. And the sub-goals are going to be different than the main goal. They're linked or aligned to the goal, but they are distinctly different, okay? And this is what happens when a manager cascades a goal. It now creates a sub-goal that's linked to that manager goal. We mentioned the public-private settings earlier. Really, really important here that the public goals allow the cascading and linking where the private goals do not. So we obviously understand that at times we're going to create goals and we don't want people to be able to see them. We don't want people to be able to link to them. We may not want to cascade them. So those will remain private. So really no functionality is lost in this equation. When we talk about enhanced goal cascading, what we mean is that from one goal that a manager creates, they can create different sub-goals and assign them to the employees in the same screen where they created their main goal, okay? And so this is an important part of the enhanced goal cascading piece. Upward linking is brand new. Upward linking means that, hey, I can create a goal and I can link it to my manager's goal, if the manager's made it public, or a corporate goal. And in fact, for some of you wondering, if you have a multi-level reporting hierarchy, if the manager reports into a director who reports into an executive, you also have a setting to say, can the employee link to the manager, the manager's manager, in which case it would be a director or an executive? You've got options to control who they can link to in that reporting hierarchy, which is, again, very important. We have a new min-max setting on goals, okay? So this applies across any evaluation area in your performance review in emPerform. So this is something we've heard a lot of, right? We've done a lot where, our clients are saying to us, we want to have at a minimum, 3 short-term goals, and we're going to have another section called long-term goals, and we want to have a minimum of 3 there. How can we ensure that employees are putting the minimum in? Some organizations have said we want to put a maximum in. We actually don't want more than 10. So, this new setting allows us to control a minimum and maximum. You could put in a maximum only with no minimum. You could put in a minimum only with no maximum. In the little example on the right-hand side of the page here, you can actually see how it just shows up under the Add New button in emPerform. It'll show you the goal min-max that's been set by HR admin. And you can see in mine, it says a minimum of 5. I got a max 10. I've only got 2 goals, so I've got 8 available. In fact, what would happen is if I try to submit this, goal setup to my manager, perhaps for goal review, the system's going to push back and say, hey, you can't do that. You need a minimum of 5 goals and you've only got 2. So this is an important add. The next one, really, I think this is better when we show it here in a second, but I want to talk to it. The goal tree. So the purpose of the goal tree is to show you how your goals align within the goal structure that's been set up. That means you may have goals you've cascaded to employees that report to you, and it may mean you see goals that you're linked or aligned to at an organization level. Next on the list is in-app status monitoring. And with this one, what we're doing is we're saying we want the ability for the manager to see the status of all the goals that are linked and aligned to the goals they've set for their team. So from within the review, a manager can click a link and actually see where all these goals are. And you can control, as the administrator, what shows up on this page. You don't have to put out, every section or control related to the goals. You might just say, hey, all I want to know is where the status of the goal is. What's the % complete?
That's it. And I'll just, sorry to interrupt, John. I'm getting some questions as they come in. So this is good, everybody. Please take the time to get your questions in. We'll definitely carve out time to address them. You should be able to do that in your go-to panel. And there was just one question, John, about the release date. I think someone joined a little bit late. So I'll just remind everybody that this release and everything we're talking about will be available February 15th. We will send an email reminder, so you'll get a notification when it's ready and you can schedule that upgrade. But it's great. Get these questions coming in because this is some exciting functionality.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie. So this one is we had to draw a picture of this to explain it. And we've introduced a new setting and workflow here specific for anniversary reviews and goal setting. So let me explain what we're trying to show here, because I don't know if I can do justice to saying it out loud without the explanation. Let's just say in this example, we have a manager who has a team they're responsible for, and they use our anniversary review functionality, which basically means May, hers starts in February, Deanna starts in April, we got Beverly in July, Bruce in August, and Lee's out in October, right? So when you're in an anniversary review, the problem with goal setting is if you're going to do goal setting and organizational goal setting, and if you're a manager and you're going to cascade team goals and everybody's starting on a different date, how are you going to do that? Are we going to say to the manager, well, you need to log in this case, 6 times a year in advance of May, Deanna, Beverly, Bruce, and Lee, I guess it's 5 times a year. You need to log in before they start and make sure you go in and do your goals. And you could do that today, right? But we really felt that, and working with some of our clients who are on anniversary reviews, that we needed a setup state that allows the manager to go in and do all the goal setting they want to do and the cascading they want to do, the linking and alignment they want to do, so that when May and Deanna and Beverly and Bruce and Lee come into their reviews, that goal structure's in place for them. And so, it's probably not as exciting to talk about this one. The subject's a little dry, but for those of you who are on anniversary reviews, the great news is that this new goal management module is going to work for you. We thought all of that through to make sure that it will. Okay, and let's go to our next one, alerting. Okay, so this to me is something that we've been asked for a long time. And this one applies across the content areas in the appraisal. It does not need to be just for goals. We built it into the goal management, the new goal management feature, because we knew everybody wanted it, but we built it in a way that you can apply it. If you wanted to, get alerted when a competency comment changes or a learning and development comment changes or status changes, you can do that, right? For some people, they have accomplishment sections in their reviews. You could set this up there. But the idea is that we've set up alerting in the review, and we give the employees and managers the opportunity through employee profile to determine how often they want to receive these alerts, right? So you can receive an email every time it happens, or you can receive a consolidated email at the end. I think it's at the end of the day. I need to double check on that. It's either daily or weekly, but I'll double check. But it would be consolidated with all the changes that have happened during the period. And the example you get is just on the right-hand side here. You'd see a subject like this one, emPerform review data changed. It tells you which employee it is, and it'll tell you where it is, right? And you can put a link in there to say, okay, go click and take a look at what's happened. But it does keep you up to date. And if you think about goal management and really what we're trying to do with this, right? What we're trying to do is make these goals and objectives more of a living process throughout the performance period. And if you think about that as a living process, then you think, okay, there's probably going to be a lot of changes and updates. You know, there may be goals that we need to revisit. There may be some that we need to say, hey, we can't, the business has changed. We've got a new priority. We need to add a new one. All of this stuff is hard to keep up to date with, especially if you're a manager where these goals are and your team are changing all the time. Statuses are changing, percent complete's changing. This alerting will keep you up to date on that. And again, you don't have to subscribe to it. If you don't want to be, if you're the type of manager who just wants to log in every month or whenever you're doing a one-on-one or a check-in and say, hey, what's in here, you can do that. But big request from a lot of users for this, and again, built out across the performance review process and appraisal. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is show you. And let's go ahead and take a look. Let me just navigate in here to emPerform, and we'll take a look at goal management. So I've logged into our demo site, and we've got a sample performance reviews, a couple sample performance reviews set up. I'm just going to talk about one thing here that I thought was important was the min-max settings. This is the example we used at the beginning to say, hey, we got minimum, maximum goals. In fact, if I try to submit this right now, what will happen is it's gonna pop out a message that says, John, you can't go do that because you don't have the goal settings in there. You need a minimum count in goals of 5, and you haven't done that. And as all of you know, we could edit the text that shows up here, make it a little more meaningful. This is just the out-of-the-box stuff that's there. So that new min-max setting is important. We have a lot of goals set up in the next one I want to show you, which is the main feature here. So you can see on this one, we've got goal alignment. We've got a minimum of 3. You're also going to see that, you know, just by the way, one of the highlights of the new feature is you can put colors on the side of your review areas. So this one we just highlighted in yellow. We'll talk about the other, that's under the other enhancements, and we'll see that in a second. But let's talk about this. So you look at this page, right? It looks pretty much the same as what you see today when you do goals or objectives in emPerform. There's a couple new icons up here at the top we're going to talk about in a second. But let me show you where things change, okay? So I'm going to look at this goal about developing internal talent. And all of a sudden, when I open the goal page, boy, that looks different. We've got a main goal where you can come and edit and create the goal. So I've created this as a manager that we want to develop our internal talent. What I've done with this is, in fact, linked it over to an organizational corporate goal, which is invest in employee development. So my goal that I created about develop internal talent is linked to investing in employee development, okay? These are, in this review, called corporate goals. Now, here comes the great part. This is the part I like the most. And by the way, as usual, you guys can control the settings that are on here. We call these controls internally, but you know, the boxes on the page that you're asking people to fill out, that's up to you as always, right? And what we do now is we say, well, I want to cascade that. So when I go over to the goal cascade area, what I see at the top is I've got develop internal talent, and you can see in this setup, I've already gone in and created 4 different sub goals. And in fact, if I click on that, you can see those are assigned to my direct reports. So if I want to, I'm looking at this now and I think, okay, well, I got, you know, whatever, I've got 4 sub goals here, but I think we're missing one, which is we need to initiate an engagement survey. So I'm going to add that sub goal. I'm going to go in and click a new one, and we're going to say, okay, you know what? We need to initiate regular engagement surveys. And you guys will see that sometimes I really need our spell checker. Okay, and here's the thing now what I do, right? It says this is going to be a sub goal. I can assign this to my direct reports. So I'm going to assign this one to May. And I'm not going to put a status on the goal. I am going to put a start date as of today. And we're going to say, I want to target it for completion. By the end of the first quarter, we want to do our first one. I'm not going to fill in, the completion date, percent complete, or status yet, but I'll go ahead and just save that. So now we've got initiate regular engagement surveys assigned to May. And if you think about this, right, I can keep creating as many sub-goals as I want. When we're in that sub-goal window, what people fill out here is, again, your choice. So, what gets created on the main goal page and the fields people fill out could be different than what's on the sub goals. So you can think about being creative with what you want to do with this. Because this goal, develop internal talent, is linked or aligned to investing in employee development, it means when May looks at her initiate regular engagement survey, she'll actually see that this is aligned to this one, which is aligned to the organizational goal. Now, because I'm the one that created the sub goal, I have the ability to go back and edit it, which means click on this little icon in green. I could delete it because I'm the one that created it. And I could also change or unlink it, okay? So I may say, well, I don't want to link it anymore, so I'm going to unlink the goal and link it to a different organizational goal. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, here's where this gets interesting. Because I'm a manager, when I set up this goal, I made it public, right? And public allows me to make sure, first of all, it's going to be cascaded, but secondly, it allows employees who create their own goals to link or align it. And so, in fact, if I go over to remove upward linking, I can see that 3 employees that report into me, Ashley, Ray, and Harlan, they've created a CPA certification goal, and they've linked it to my goal of developing internal talent. If for some reason I thought, that doesn't really make sense, I'm going to, remove those links, I could go ahead and do it from here. So again, because I'm the person that created the goal and I'm in a manager position, I really get to control how it gets cascaded, what it gets upward linked to, and who links to me with their goals, okay, their own initial goals. So you look at this and it's like, wow, okay, so we can create a goal, we can cascade it, we can link it. This is where now it becomes important to look at our goal tree. So this visualization of the goal tree, in fact, just shows me, right, a listing of top level goals and where I fit in it, right? So if I open this one, we had developing internal talent set by me. Let's just focus on one. We had develop internal talent set by me, and it was linked to an organizational goal called investing in employee development. I created a number of different goals, right? I had these invest in performance management with Ashley, hire 2 new team members with Harlan, centralizing documentation with May, lunch and learns with Ray, initiating regular engagement surveys with May. And I have 3 folks who have created their own goals and linked it into my goal, which is linked into the organizational goal. So the goal tree is meant to show you as a manager how the whole goal structure you've created works. If you're an employee, it will show you your goals and how they link upward into really the goal structure that's been put in place. Okay. The next thing you want to know is this view direct reports data, right? So we call this, I didn't know what to call this when we did the PowerPoint, so I just called it in-app status monitor in the PowerPoint. The actual button in the software is review direct reports data. What happens here? Well, what happens here is it just lists out your employees, their goals, and as HR admin, you determine what you want to put on this page, right? So it's meant to say, here's all the goals that your team's working on, and you can come here and see the status of them. So when we created this one in the sample, demonstration model, we said, well, show us the employee, the goal. We want to know the status, the start, end date, target date, when it was completed, what the percent complete is, how the employees rated it, how the reviewer or managers rated it. You can change what shows up in this page. I might, looking at it now, take out a few of these columns just to make it a little nicer to look at, so I don't have to, I can see maybe more of the rating. But this, of course, is subject to how you set up your review process. But the point here is, I haven't had to leave my performance review, right? I'm the manager setting goals and I'm doing it all from within my review. I can see the whole structure. I can see the cascading. I can create goals, different goals for different team members, all within this. And this is what we've done with what we call this advanced goal management, or really think of it like enterprise goal management. And again, if you do the upgrade on this, right, this is not going to show up automatically. You're not all of a sudden going to say, gee, I had goal setting and now I got to do all this advanced stuff. No, these are features you turn on. They're existing features. They're features added to the existing framework. When we started developing this, there was even a lot of internal discussion about whether this should be a separate module in emPerform. And we just decided, that doesn't make sense. That the way the world is moving, goal management remains at the center of the performance review process. And, we talk a lot these days about the changing face of performance review. We talk about how big organizations are doing things differently if they're just moving to a quarterly check-in process. If they're eliminating the old school reviews. One thing that hasn't changed through that whole dialogue, I read a lot about this, is that goal management and objectives management is still a big part of the content. So even somebody like Adobe, for instance, who got a lot of mileage in 2017 or 18 by changing their review process, to a quarterly check-in process, the quarterly check-in process is largely based on goal management. It's still very, they might call it something different. They might call it a roadmap or other things, different terminology, but still goals and objectives are at the center of it. And so we really felt like there's an audience of clients where this is going to be very important to them. And so that's why we've added it here, just to make sure we cover it. We're super excited about it, and I hope you are too. This will be a great update, and it's, I think, really timely because for a lot of our clients, they're in an annual review cycle. For those of you who are out there, you're probably finishing it up. In fact, we're in that stage internally ourselves, where we're just finishing up our self-assessments, going to the manager and doing one-on-ones, and then we're going to go into goal setting for 2023. So this release is going to help us dramatically with that. Because we do, in fact, have organizational goals set for 2023 that will be in here. We do, in fact, give managers the ability to create goals and to cascade them and create sub-goals for their team members so that we're achieving the goals set by kind of management. So again, when we talk about this, we can allow upward linking to a manager or any other kind of higher level review role like a director or executive. Okay, so that's kind of our advanced goal management piece. I want to come back now and just talk about some of the other features and enhancements we've built into emPerform 5.4. A lot of these are actually really meaningful. So first and foremost, we'll call it other optimizations, enhancements, and fixes. First of all, the comment box, right? We've had, and again, these ones, a lot of these come from our clients. So administrators, you can now control the default number of rows visible for a comment box. Why is that important? Well, our comment boxes up until now were always one size, right? And you could drag them to make them bigger on the page, but when they showed up on the page, they always took the same amount of real estate, right? So now you can set the number of rows that are visible by default in the comment box. I could see this being useful when, we've got comment boxes that require a one-word answer, right? We could set it as one row instead of like 3 or 4 rows by default. And we've also got ones where some of our clients ask people for a little more narrative, and they may want to make the comment box control 10 rows just as a visual indicator when you look at it. Hey, gee, the HR folks are asking us to spend some time thinking about this and give a more eloquent response. So we're going to give you lots of screen real estate to help you infer that that's what's expected. So again, I think this is an important one and one that's been asked for a number of years now. Next one, also it seems like a small change, but a big one, is that managers can edit goal or objective titles that were created by the employee. So this has come up a lot in the review process, where we have employees going in and do goal setting, and they write up a nice goal, they put a title on it, they fill it out, they give all the details we need, and a manager goes in and looks at it and says, yeah, this is all good, except I don't like the way they described the goal. Like, I wish they used a different title for that goal. I want to change the title. I get what they're saying, but in today's world, I have to do a send back to them. I have to message them to say I sent the review back and change the title of this goal. Now we've got an option for managers to go in and be able to edit the title of a goal that an employee has created. Okay. Emails. A few things on emails as we go through this, but first one is emails from the system can now be set with a high importance flag. There is also a low importance flag. I think most people are going to gravitate towards using this feature to mark it as highly important. So that's one that's there. We also have added an option under attachments, okay, where you can now create attachments that are private and just simply unlock it, right? So you don't have to go through a delete and reattach process. You can just say, okay, I'm going to make this one public. This one seems to happen from time to time. Maybe employees are keeping a performance log that they want to keep private through the performance year. Maybe they're keeping, notes on feedback and things they want to remember in their performance review when they go to give their self-assessment. And during the process, they want to keep that private to themselves. So now they can just go there and click unlock and make it public when they're ready to make an attachment public. Next, and there's a few to go through here. Change the evaluation area color. So you guys saw that earlier. We had in one of the reviews a goal section set in yellow. Email template preview in workflow. So, these are some administrator things. Now, when you're creating a workflow, and I know workflow is everybody's favorite subject who's on this call. I've got some good reports on workflow that I'm going to talk about in our masterclass on reporting today. But now within the workflow, when, we say, okay, when we get to this transition, hey, fire this email to the employee or manager. Now you can actually preview what that email says and looks like right from within workflow. The next one I think is critical as well. We've added new controls for rich text formatting. So tables and images can now be added to any comment box or area in the application that has the rich text controls on it. So that's just a feature. We've heard this before. I'll be very clear. There's a use case here on our compensation side, where in our compensation module, we sometimes have instructions and they're full of numbers and they're better presented as text, right? It could be eligibility rules within the organization that say, at this performance level, at this level of employee, they're eligible from 3 to 5%. If you want to do something above that, the maximum you can award is this percentage. And we get into that a lot with clients where we've said, gee, it would be really nice if we could just put a table in there because it would keep the structure of the numbers looking nice. You can do that now. In fact, you can put images in there as well. So some of our clients' marketing departments do great things with organizational goals. And maybe I just want to put an image of that in there that was created because it's something that's being used again and again in presentations in the organization throughout the year. The other big one, that last little period, is rich text for emails. So all of the system-based emails that go out to employees now support rich text formatting. I think this will really help give the emails a more current and modern feel to them. I think for a long time they look very much like system emails because they come over in a courier font and we didn't have control to underline, highlight, bold, change colors, right? If you think about email reminders that go out for people that haven't completed their review, some of our clients have multiples that go out after a date. We could increasingly make the font bigger. This is due, please get it done. Put it in red and big bold titles. So you can do that now in your emails. We've added some organization level filters on the employee master. We have an ability to put your company logo in emails as well. We've created a couple new appraisal reports on status. And we've also on our final evaluation report, we've added, for those of you who still require a print and signature, we've added the ability to add other review role signatures to the overall evaluation report. More of these. Okay, what's going on in 360s? There's a new report. For those of you running a 360 process, you know we have a nomination process built in when we do 360s through performance review or performance appraisal. We have this whole nomination process we set up, that allows anyone to go in and nominate someone else depending on the settings. There's now a report available to administrators to tell them who's been nominated and who hasn't done it, right? We also show the employee name at the top of the 360 feedback request email that goes out. So just some small things there. There's a new tag report for administrators to see tag activity in emPerform by organization level and user. So this report will show you all the details of the tags that are being made and who made them and when they made them. Okay, for those of you who use tag and who are interested in that. In compensation, there's a few changes. We didn't list all of them here. We introduced instruction text, but one of the big ones is we put the workflow timeline on display inside the compensation module. So that's something that wasn't there. We now have a dedicated instructions area as well. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it has all the rich text formatting, which now includes images and tables. In our Succession Manager 9-box product, there's a new instruction field. We've made line of sight visibility an option in 9-box. So when we talk about line of sight, it does come up in a few places in emPerform. It comes up in our dashboards as well. Line of sight basically means, the reporting hierarchy I talked about earlier. If we had an executive, a director, a manager, and an employee, line of sight means that, for an employee who's in a 9-box, not only their manager, but their director and executive would be able to see that as well, okay? And then importantly, I think, we've added some filters into the 9-box. When we're clicking on a box and looking at a big number of employees, we've added some additional data filters in there. Things like organization structure, any custom fields we've added to the employee master or to the employee profile to help us really zone in on a specific group of employees. So some of that report stuff we're going to show in our webinar this afternoon. There are more enhancements that have been made. So I just felt that the ones with meaning that have kind of an administrator or a user side to it that's impactful would be the ones we want to talk about in today's presentation. I will tell you that there is more. Some of them are more administrative related, but those were the big ones that stood out. As we said at the start, this upgrade is going to roll out starting February 15th, okay? And I think, first of all of our upgrades as part of our emPerform package, as you know, they're included for you, right? So there's no extra fee to do an upgrade. We run a process where we're going to send out an email, and we'll send out a number over the next few months. And of course, the folks you work with on our implementation team will be in touch with you. But the process we do is that we schedule your upgrade. So we work with you to find a date that's going to work for your upgrade. Typically, what we'll do is do the upgrade in the evening. So when we call it, say, data's at rest, if you want to think of it like that. And occasionally, if it requires, we can do it on a weekend. But the idea is that we do the upgrade and you come in the next morning and your system is upgraded. And what we'll do with that is when you come in the next morning, we'll have it scheduled in a way that one of our implementers is there just to take any questions you might have, do a double check with you to make sure everything looks good and clean and that you're happy with it. For on-premise clients, we'll provide the upgrade file. We do have still a number of clients that are not on the SaaS platform, that are on an on-premise platform in their own network or environment. And we will provide you with the upgrade file as of February 15th. On that day as well, your administrator user guides and the how-to manual that we always keep up to date will be updated with all of the new features that are included here. Next is ideas. I mean, this whole presentation today really comes from your feedback. As I said at the start, we're 20 years into this journey. Like, quite honestly, there's only so much our team can dream up to do. So we look for your feedback and ideas, and we listen carefully. And it is part of our product development strategy to continually include your ideas. As part of getting those ideas, we've launched a new ideas portal, okay? And this is something we launched last year. This gives you the ability to come in and give us suggestions on what we need to do in the next release of the product. It allows you to see what others have suggested. It allows you to vote. And it's categorized within, within the product and the things that are there, from 360 reviews to on-demand forums to general performance appraisal, to surveys, tags, reports, anything you want to give us feedback on. And so we encourage you to sign up here for this one.
Yeah, and I've dropped the link to the portal in the chat panel. So go ahead and sign up. Now, just a warning that only approved client domains can register. So if you do encounter any issues with registering, just send an email to our support team, support@employee-performance.com. We'll take a look at that domain, because sometimes organizations have different kind of domains, and we'll get that sorted for you right away.
Thanks, Natalie. That's great news. And, folks, I can't stress this enough. We really want your feedback. I encourage you to use this. I encourage you to ask your users what they'd like to see in the product to make the experience better. We're really, really focused on that. And the best source of product development is your teams. So please take the opportunity to sign up and give us your ideas. Okay, and I think that kind of sums up just the big picture of what's happening in emPerform 5.4, and obviously the importance of getting feedback. We just talked about how important this is in our journey and helping prioritize our product development plans. We do have a continual reminder that what helps us grow emPerform, the team, the capability, is great reviews. So if you're having a great experience with emPerform, we'd love you to come to Capterra and provide us with some feedback. And of course, you'll get some thanks for doing that in terms of some gift cards and other things that'll come your way.
Capterra is doing a promotion right now. So again, I just put the link into the chat panel. Capterra is giving away a $15 gift card, and emPerform is going to bump that up for another $35. So you get $50. So definitely nice way to make some cash today in the form of gift cards, of course. And we'd love to get your feedback. These testimonials are good. It's good for us, but it's also good for other organizations who haven't yet made the move to a performance management system. They want to hear from other teams that this is possible, they can do it. So please go ahead and share your feedback.
Thanks, Natalie. Lastly, we just put a slide in here on Quisitive. emPerform is now part of Quisitive. Quisitive is a large Microsoft-based partner out of Dallas, Texas. And we actually became part of Quisitive back in 2019 officially. And we're moving this year, we've moved a lot of our internal emails and branding to Quisitive. So emPerform is part of Quisitive as a company. We are a leading Microsoft partner. We actually are differentiated in the Microsoft channel, and at Quisitive, we support all three Microsoft clouds, which are Azure, Office, and Microsoft Dynamics. And of course, we have a lot of our own intellectual property, of which emPerform is a big part of that. So I just wanted to bring this up today to introduce the Quisitive name. And for those of you wondering who's Quisitive, not to be alarmed. Nothing changes on the emPerform side. It's the same team here supporting you. It's the same team that's doing the development and upgrades. But the bigger picture is under the Quisitive umbrella. And I think, Natalie, I'll pass it back to you at this point.
That is amazing. And you definitely got a lot of good comments as you were going through those different features, John. So as we expected, everybody's really excited about this. Just some questions are coming in. I'm just going to address a few of them because they're very important. One is about the cost to upgrade. There is no cost. emPerform upgrades are included as part of your active hosted subscription. Or if you have on-prem, you have an enhancement plan. So as long as you're active with that, these upgrades are 100% free for you, and we encourage you to always be on the latest version. The other question is, do all emPerform administrators get the email for the upgrade? And the answer is absolutely. So anyone that we have listed as an HR or an IT contact in your organization will get the notification Again, keep an eye on your inbox on the 15th. If you don't hear from us, check your junks, check your spam. We hope our emails aren't being routed there, but we will get in touch with you too. As John said, if we don't hear from our clients about this upgrade, chances are we'll reach out to you and see if you're interested. All right, so John, I have a few questions from you about the linking of goals, and one is, are the linked goals tab and the organizational goal preset? So I think this is around, is anything preset?
Yeah, so the only thing that would be preset is that we look at the HR administrator to set the organizational goal list, right? So they're kind of saying, hey, this is what we've agreed to for organizational goals for the year, or, however you want to determine that top level goal list. That would be preset by HR admin. There's a specific organizational goal library where we add those, and then those become available. At that point, goal creation, sub goals, linking, cascading, all of those pieces are done by the manager. None of that is preset. So you would go in essentially on day one, if you had 5 organizational goals that are being, that are being highlighted for the year, that'd be the only thing you'd see. You go in, you'd have no goals on your goal page. You'd say, I want to create a new goal. You'd create a new goal, like I'm going to improve employee performance this year. And then you'd say, okay, now I want to link it. When you go to link it upward, you would see org goals there. Okay, so that's the only preset that's there.
Excellent. Now, the next one is actually a very good question, and it is worth clarifying. Can we still use goals the way we use them now?
Yes, 100%. So we haven't changed anything with respect to the existing structure of what you have in place in emPerform. I can't emphasize this enough. We knew when we known over the years, it's central to how we do this, that the product has to evolve. And for the product to evolve, we continually have to add new features to it. Sometimes they're minor, like, hey, I want to control the size of a comment box with the number of rows. Sometimes they're major, like, hey, we have this new enterprise goal management feature in here. We will not disturb what you have in place or processes that are taking place because we've done an upgrade. Those new features become available to you, but you're going to activate them when you feel it's correct in your performance management journey. In this case, when it's correct for you to implement new enterprise level goal management, you're going to determine that. So it's not going to change anything at all with what you have set up, how your users use the system, what they see. None of that's going to change as a result of this.
Exactly. Everything is optional, and that's why we meet with you when we do the upgrade, so we can just re-review that list of release notes and what's new. You can choose what you'd like to activate and maybe what we want to put a pin in and revisit, 3 months, 6 months from now. So that was a very good question and worth clarifying. All right, I have one more, and then I think we can give everybody, 5 or 10 minutes back before lunch, and then we're all going to regroup back here at 12:30 Eastern for kind of our afternoon of rapid fire master sessions. The last question is, will there be any IT type changes as part of the upgrade?
No, it doesn't require any changes at all to what you have in place. If you're a SaaS customer, the only thing you need is your browser, right, connected to the internet. If you're an on-prem customer, there's no changes to the back-end server requirements from SQL or web services, the web server or anything like that. So nothing to be alarmed of. The only thing I'd say is that if you're an on-premise customer, you're probably going to have to arrange an upgrade process that involves a member of your IT team to run the upgrade. Right, so we're always going to recommend it, and we do this as part of the scheduling, that they take a backup before they run the upgrade process. If they go ahead and run an EXE or an executable file, it's going to upgrade emPerform on the web server, and then you go in and check it out. So, but really, no, there's no changes required. There's no new IT requirements for this upgrade, none whatsoever.
Excellent. Well, that's it for the questions. And don't worry, if you think of something after, you can always just contact our support team for questions around this upgrade. We're not just going to leave you hanging. So we will, in the coming weeks, send you what you can expect, the release notes, a link to this recording. And again, on the 15th, you can then schedule that upgrade and we can answer all of the questions that you have then. All right, so with that, thank you, John. That was amazing. This is very exciting. We're all very excited about this release. It's very powerful what you can enable. You know, emPerform is a very robust system on the back end. It's always been our goal to make sure that on the user side, it's incredibly intuitive, very simple, very easy, but on the back end that you have all of the options that you need as an organization to tailor this to your needs. So with that, we know there are a lot of settings. That's why we're here to help. But, you know, if you have the question or if there's something that you're looking to do, chances are we can already do it. If we can't do it, that's where we want to have your ideas and we want to work that into our development plan. All right, so I think with that, go ahead, enjoy your lunch. We'll see you back here at 12:30. We're going to start with some tips and tricks in emPerform, and I look forward to seeing everybody back here after lunch. Thank you, John.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.